Did you know that Africa has more pyramids than Egypt? This staggering fact is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the rich and often overlooked history of the African continent. For centuries, narratives have downplayed or outright ignored Africa's contributions to global civilization, painting a picture of a continent lagging behind. But the truth, revealed through groundbreaking archaeological discoveries and a re-examination of historical records, tells a vastly different story. Get ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about Africa's past. Our journey begins at the very beginning, with the origins of humankind itself. Africa is, after all, the cradle of humanity. Fossil discoveries like Sahelanthropus tchadensis in Chad, dating back millions of years, provide crucial evidence of our earliest ancestors. More recently, remains found at Jebel Irhoud in Morocco have been dated to an astonishing 315,000 years ago, pushing back the known timeline of Homo sapiens. And at the Omo site in Ethiopia, fossils of early Homo sapiens have been unearthed, dating back 195,000 years. These discoveries confirm Africa as the birthplace of modern humans, the starting point for our species' long journey across the globe. Around 56,000 years ago, modern humans began leaving Africa, spreading to populate the rest of the world. But the story of Africa isn't just about our origins, it's also about early innovation and technological advancement. Did you know that Africans were organizing sophisticated fishing expeditions as far back as 90,000 years ago? At Katanda, in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, archaeologists have found evidence of barbed harpoon points used for catching giant catfish. These aren't crude, primitive tools, they are elaborately polished and demonstrate a deep understanding of aquatic ecosystems. And that's not all, Africans were also pioneers in mining. At Bomvu Ridge in Swaziland, now Eswatini, evidence of hematite mining dates back 43,000 years. This site has yielded over 300,000 artifacts, including stone mining tools, proving that Africans were extracting valuable resources tens of thousands of years before similar activities in Eurasia. The ancient peoples of Africa also spearheaded agricultural innovation. In Egypt's Western Desert, evidence of crop cultivation has been found dating back 12,000 years. They cultivated barley, capers, chickpeas, dates, legumes, lentils, and wheat. These early farmers used tools like grindstones, milling stones, cutting blades, hide scrapers, and mortars to process their harvests, demonstrating a sophisticated knowledge of agriculture. Now, let's delve into one of the most significant demographic events in African history, the Bantu Expansion. Beginning around 3000 BCE and continuing until 500 CE, Bantu-speaking peoples migrated from their homeland in northwestern Central Africa, modern-day Cameroon, across vast swathes of the continent. This expansion reshaped the linguistic, cultural, and genetic landscape of Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. As they migrated, the Bantu-speaking peoples brought with them new technologies, including ironworking and farming techniques. They displaced or absorbed existing populations, such as the Khorasan and Pygmy groups, contributing to the rich diversity of modern African societies. But Africa's history also includes darker chapters, including the Arab-African slave trade. From the 800 CE to the late 19th century, Arab traders, often in alliance with Islamized Swahili Africans, participated in the enslavement and trade of Africans. Trading hubs like Mombasa and Mishu, likely influenced by Muscat via the Red Sea coast, became centers of this trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly taken from their homes and transported across the Indian Ocean to destinations in the Middle East and Asia. This trade had a devastating impact on African societies, leading to depopulation, social disruption, and long-lasting trauma. Another dark chapter in Africa's history is the European Scramble for Africa, which took place between 1870 and 1914. Driven by the economic and political ambitions of European powers, this period saw the rapid colonization and partitioning of the African continent. The Berlin Conference of 1884 formalized this process, dividing Africa among European powers without any regard for existing ethnic or political boundaries. European control of Africa increased from just 10% to over 90% during this period. The consequences of the scramble for Africa were profound and long-lasting. Colonial rule led to the exploitation of African resources, the suppression of African cultures, and the imposition of arbitrary borders that continue to fuel conflict and instability today. But it's important to remember that Africa was not simply a passive victim of colonial aggression. Prior to European arrival, Africa was home to numerous sophisticated and powerful states, including Christian kingdoms like Ethiopia, Makuria in Nubia, and Congo. These kingdoms had complex political systems, thriving economies, and rich cultural traditions. Ethiopia, for example, maintained its independence throughout much of the colonial era, a testament to its strength and resilience. The Kingdom of Congo, located in present-day Angola and the Democratic Republic of Congo, converted to Christianity in the 15th century and established diplomatic relations with European powers. These pre-colonial states demonstrate that Africa had a vibrant and dynamic history long before European intervention. So, how do these historical events connect to modern Africa? The legacies of the Bantu expansion, the slave trades, and colonial rule continue to shape the continent today. Bantu languages are still spoken by millions of people across Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. The marginalization of Khorasan and Pygmy groups persists, particularly in land rights disputes. The economic extraction of resources, a hallmark of the colonial era, continues in many post-colonial African nations. The arbitrary borders drawn during the scramble for Africa have led to numerous conflicts and continue to pose challenges to nation-building. Despite these challenges, Africa has made significant progress in recent decades. The decolonization process, which began with Libya in 1951, reached its peak in 1960, the Year of Africa, when 17 nations gained independence. Today, Africa is home to 54 independent countries, each with its own unique culture, history, and aspirations. There are still controversies and suppressed histories surrounding the narrative of African history. One of the most persistent is the colonial-era claim that Africa had no history before the arrival of Europeans. This racist and inaccurate view was used to justify colonial exploitation and domination. However, recent archaeological discoveries, such as those at Jebel Irhoud, are challenging this narrative and revealing the depth and complexity of Africa's past. Another controversy surrounds the origins of ancient Egypt, or Kemet. While historical records and depictions clearly identify ancient Egyptians as Black Africans, some Eurocentric narratives attempt to downplay or deny this fact. This erasure of African contributions to ancient civilization is a form of historical injustice that must be challenged. The Arab slave trade is often minimized compared to the Atlantic slave trade, despite its vast scale and long duration. This downplaying of the Arab slave trade is another example of how African history has been distorted and suppressed. The accomplishments of Black African women rulers, who predated Euro-American women's movements by centuries, are often overlooked in global histories, and the dismissal of oral traditions as unreliable sources of historical information is yet another way in which African history has been marginalized. In conclusion, the history of Africa is far richer, more complex, and more significant than many people realize. From the origins of humankind to early technological innovations, the Bantu expansion, the challenges of the slave trades and colonial rule, and the achievements of pre-colonial states, Africa has played a central role in shaping human civilization. By uncovering these hidden histories and challenging long-held misconceptions, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the continent's past and its ongoing contributions to the world. It's time to rewrite the narrative and give Africa the recognition it deserves.